Hello everyone, thank you for joining me on today's episode of Government. Today I have an interesting couple that I want you to meet.
And we have Dr. Emmanuel Kwame Teye from Kwame. Dr. Emmanuel has a BSc in medical technology. He went further to have an MS in cell and molecular biology at the same Ball State University, Indiana, USA.
And today I have an opportunity to interview Dr. Kwame and his wife. We want to know how they met, tell us a love story, how it all started. You know how we do it. So welcome to my channel. If you're joining us for the first time, remember to click the subscription button. And if you are here before, remember to hit the like button so that you see the good things that we are sharing out here. Once again, my name is Simisola. Welcome to my channel.
That's a loaded question.
You still need to find it.
At some point, I mean, it's open some scriptures here.
I don't know if I should be offended.
No, I think we've talked about this today. Yeah.
So my little one was like, oh, this guy, this guitar, and it's like a girl. And I'm like, please, what's this guy doing?
About to mess up my song.
What's this guy doing? Oh my God. I think maybe that was the moment that I knew that was who I was going to marry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The
rather
guitar
you need to carry a guitar around, you never know.
No, the guitar had a lot to do with it because he was excellent at it.
Welcome back. Once again, you're welcome. Today we have a beautiful couple in the building. So I want them to introduce themselves to you. So, go first.
I think I'm going to introduce my wife.
Okay, introduce your wife.
Oh my God.
Because I'm very humble, so
Yeah,
I
humble.
don't like introducing.
Indeed, it's humble. Alright.
Alright, so this is Dr. Simisola Teye. Yes. She's been my partner in life for the past 8 years. And we have 2 beautiful children together by God's grace. It's been an amazing journey with her. I've grown a lot as a human being, and I've learned a lot through this journey as well. And even as we partner in ministry and also just in life in general, I love her family very much, and the values that they hold, it's really rubbed off on me. And so, yeah. And, oh, I forgot, she's an epidemiologist, so when all the COVID stuff were happening, I had a lot of, it's still happening, and she's working with COVID programs until this year actually. And now she works with antibiotic, what do you call it? Stewardship programs for Los Angeles County in California.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a great introduction. I feel like I can't do better than that.
Really?
I don't know.
Give it a
Let's
try.
try. Okay, hi everyone. This is Dr. Emmanuel Kwame Teye. We've been married, like you said, 8 years. He's an amazing person. Amazing. One of the best persons that I've ever met in my life. We're pretty great.
I thought Jesus is. Jesus is the best person you met.
Clearly.
Okay.
But,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, so he's been a great partner, a great husband, a great father, and I look up to him a lot. He's a great role model. He's a scientist with Johnson & Johnson, Janssen Pharmaceutical, and I'm really proud of you, Hans.
Oh, he's blushing. Alright, thank you very much. So the main gist here is, how did it happen? Before going into that, I want to ask you, my first question here is, at what stage in life did you start praying for the will of God?
You want to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
I can't say that there was a time where I really started praying. I think I was just blessed to have. When I met you, I feel like I knew that was who I was supposed to marry, and it wasn't because of lack of other guys being around. You know, I just didn't think anybody else was the will of God. But when I met my husband, I used to joke with, I mean, not to him clearly, but with myself, like, that's my husband. And it happened.
So was it like love at first sight or?
It wasn't love at first sight, it was interest at first sight. It was like,
I like this guy.
I like this guy. Thank you. Yeah, I like this guy. Stop.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, you go. I mean, we were young. I was really young, so I don't think I would be great. We got married when I was 25. We were engaged like maybe almost 20 when I was almost 24. So I didn't have like a lot of time to say, oh, I was praying. But when I met him, I knew
That he was the
he
one.
was the
Like
one. Yes.
simple.
Yeah.
Nothing like I had a dream.
No.
And in the dream there was
There was
like
an apple.
umbrella.
Yeah, or like it was raining, and then he brought his umbrella to show
So
me
you're going to
something.
say I shot some arrows to it and I hit the apple.
Yeah,
That would
something
be
like
more
that.
cool.
Those are cool stories, but I guess mine isn't that cool. What about you?
How about you?
I think, like I always say, I said a humble Christian.
Jumbo Christian.
Yeah.
Do you know the Bible?
Do you?
Yeah, I think for me, I've been praying about marriage since high school, probably.
Wow.
I think there were times I even prayed like, oh God, please bless my wife wherever she is. She'll pass her exams.
Yeah,
all
he
those
actually
kind of things.
did that, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you have been praying for your wife.
Yeah, I think one of the things I always say, I always tell people I wish I married even earlier.
Wow.
I think the goal was like 21 or something. And I when I met my wife, it didn't happen the way that I thought it would happen. Most of the time you hear stories about, oh, I had a dream, and anytime we go for campus like marriage seminars. Let me even put it this way: anytime we had marriage seminars, I didn't take it seriously. I thought, oh, it's not this. But when I met her, I think I was sharing with someone. I was sharing with you.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a way God speaks to me. It's almost like someone is talking to me directly, but sometimes almost like a GPS, directional. This time it didn't say that is your wife. He said that could be your wife. So and that was because for me, I had so many what we call idols, right? So I was like, okay, she has to be, a doctor. She has to be the skin tone. She has to look a certain way. She has to laugh at all my jokes.
Funny enough, his jokes are always fun.
Are you sure?
Yes, she doesn't.
Okay.
See, that criteria, she didn't even meet that criteria.
Really?
Because everyone else thinks I'm funny. She
She doesn't think you're funny.
Anyway.
Really?
So I think I always say God has a sense of humor. So when I first saw her, what I was trying to do was to avoid her. Because I knew this was who God wanted me to be with, but the whole could be a wife part, I didn't understand that till further on even in our courtship. So for me, it was taking a step of faith, and even as we'll share some of our stories, as we go through this. But I think for me, I started praying about it earlier.
Wow. So my second question here is, what was your greatest fear about marriage? Your greatest fear about marriage?
That's a loaded question.
Okay.
My greatest fear about marriages was just being with the wrong person. I think I know that sounds very generic, but let me dig a little deeper. Being with the person that God has not approved for me to be with, because I know how that is going to end. Not because of the person, but because of me. And that links up to the whole could be your wife thing. I had really, really, really high expectations for whoever was going to be my wife. Almost like spotless. This person has to literally be dropped from heaven kind of person, which is impossible.
Yeah.
No matter how big your faith is, unless of course I want to go with the permissive will of God. And so there were a lot of things that I needed to change and pray about. I always say in the period where I was, we got married, later for you, we're both No, I was in grad school. You were in grad school too, yeah.
No, not when we got married.
You just graduated. Right?
Yeah, I
No,
just
you-
graduated. No,
okay.
I just graduated this last year.
So it was already a tough season, for me. And so I always say that's probably the period of my life that I prayed the most. Because just knowing that okay, God wants me to be with this person. I think for me there wasn't any physical attraction at the very beginning, because God always has a way of communicating. I'm a very headspace person. So I'm always in this headspace, like very analytical. I look at things very critically, everything, which might have its downsides. So I think God had to speak to me. I wish I could say heart, but it was more of a mind thing. Speak to me through my mind and say that could be your life if you get your acts together, and stop all this, heaven sent bride kind of
Right,
thing.
dropping from heaven.
So. I don't know if I addressed the question. I think I may have digressed.
The question is what was the greatest fear? I said marrying the wrong person. How about you, Mom?
I guess partly, yeah, marrying the wrong person or someone that didn't fear God, and that way then they don't have any conscience. If someone doesn't have any conscience, then it's very hard to live with a person. I don't like being in situations where I'm unhappy. And not that I put my happiness in the person that I married, but we're going to share a home together, forever. I didn't plan on, of any kind of divorce. That's not something that I think about. So when it got to marriage, like the biggest fear for me was, does this person love God enough that God can talk to them if something was wrong, God can speak to them like, oh, you're doing this thing wrong, do it this way. That was my biggest fear, someone that would listen to what God says. And because of that, I guess it made me, that's one of the reasons I chose to marry Kwame, because I knew it was God fearing.
Do you still need the Bible?
At some point,
That's
I mean, it's
cool.
open some
Some
scriptures,
scriptures.
yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So you made mention of grad school, she being in grad school. So how did you guys start the whole relationship stuff? Let's take it piece by piece.
Yeah.
Where was the first place you saw her? Like the first place you saw her?
The first place I saw her was at church, actually.
See? You see?
Yeah, the girls that
Go to church.
Yeah, I was living in Massachusetts. I moved to Pennsylvania for graduate school, and the regional overseer over there reached out to the state pastor and said, "Hey, one of my people is coming down. Please reach out to any of your pastors that are close by. Could you see me, dad?" To reach out to him. And then he was so hesitant, like, man, these are these young people, like people when they come to America, they don't even want to come to church, which is true, I mean, but he said the state pastor kept pressing him, like, go check on this kid. I mean, we know the rest is history, but he and my mother-in-law now came and, they visited him. I was like, wow, these people are really nice. So yeah, I was just going to church, serving the Lord in prayer.
Playing instrument.
Yeah. In fact, I carried my whole guitar to the church. And then, Sydney always says that, now I know that was not the first time she showed up at church. That's how headspace kind of person I am.
Okay.
I did
He
not
was
even,
so focused
I was so
on the word of
focused.
God.
Yeah, I did not even see this girl, even though she sang the hymn. And I backed her up, and it's a small church.
Very small church.
Yeah.
No, there was barely anybody there.
Yeah.
Less than 50.
Less than 50, yeah. Probably like 25, 30.
And you still didn't
I did not see.
Yeah.
I was not watching.
She sang that day.
She sang, yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, she sang very well.
And you still didn't
CV is like a hymn library.
Oh,
If you
wow.
say GHS 45, and you just give her
Growing
the
up in
tune.
the church, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give her the tune. She knows the hymn. So yeah, like that's why I met her. But the day that I only remember now in retrospect, like she reminded me of that. But in retrospect, the time that I remember, I think that was probably, I don't even know if it was your third time or second time. I don't remember. Second time. I think she was coming out of one of the kitchen part of the church and then we're serving food by there or something. And then that's when it came to us, like, that could be your wife. I was like, oh, God, please no. Yeah, so.
I don't know if I should be offended.
No, I think we talked about this too. Yeah, at this point, yeah.
But why did you say God, please no?
Yeah, and that's what I meant by, building idols, right? So, like, if you remember what I said, I'm a very headspace kind of person. It has to be specific. I'm very critical. God needed to shave all of that. Like, me joking around like this, that's not how I was.
Really?
Yeah.
You're serious?
I was a very serious. I'm still serious when I need to be serious, but because I've learned how to, loosen up and relax and just have fun. And so when that administration came, I wasn't thinking of, oh wow, this is a nice girl. What? No, it's like it doesn't fit the specification. Like she doesn't fit like what I've imagined. Like she was completely off from what I imagined. So I was like, God,
Yeah, that's why you said God, please no.
please don't do this to me.
No way he said in the Bible that his ways are not our ways.
His ways are not
Yeah.
his thoughts are not our thoughts. Yeah.
How about you, ma?
My first impression was when I came in to church. I think I wasn't even. It was just like.
Oh, you should talk about the pastor.
Well, actually, my little brother had called me when I was living in Philly. So my parents lived in Harrisburg, which is like, let's say like an hour, 30 minutes away. So of course I didn't go to my parents' church. I went to one of the churches in Philadelphia. So so my little brother would call me, because I was in grad school in Philadelphia. So he would call me. So one day he calls me and he was like, so my little brother was like, oh, this guy plays guitar and he sings like a girl. So I was like, okay. That's impossible, in my brain, it's kind of like, how? It wasn't possible. So I feel like, I don't know if it was like the next weekend, but one weekend, very close to the time my little brother was telling me about this guy, I go to church so I was like, okay. That's impossible, in my brain, it's kind of like, how? It wasn't possible. So I feel like, I don't know if it was like the next weekend, but one weekend, very close to the time my little brother was telling me about this guy, I go to church in Harrisburg to visit my parents. So I go to church. So the church is so small that my dad was like, oh, while you're here, sing the hymn. Because they don't have a piano player, the church was just starting. So I pick up the mic to sing the hymn, and then the guy comes with his guitar to back me up. And I was like, oh, he's probably gonna play in a different key. It's gonna be a mess. I was like, you know what, whatever, let him play. So he starts playing, he finds him, I start singing. He told me, he was like, just start singing. So I start singing, and then he finds the key, and he's playing a hymn on his guitar, like a professional.
Oh, man. Please so.
Oh my God. I think maybe that was the moment that I knew that was who I was gonna marry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the
you need
guitar
to carry a guitar around. You never know.
No, the guitar had a lot to do with it because he was excellent at it. Like he played it. He wasn't trying to show up for me to play nonsense. Like no, he legit plays the guitar. I mean, he still plays the guitar, but he plays it so well. Then I was like, is this guy playing? Okay.
It's the Holy Spirit.
It's the Holy Spirit. Please.
So carry guitar or violin.
Yeah, violin. Yeah.
Or
any string instrument.
Any kind of instrument. It doesn't even have to be. It could be a percussion instrument.
Did you hear that? Even a tuba.
A tuba or a trumpet. A trombone.
So at this point now, guys, I've made to say, the question now is, how did you start the whole process? Like, what was the first conversation like?
Oh.
Who had the first conversation with?
What was our first conversation?
It was
with each other?
With each other or?
Yeah, with each other. Together.
Oh, yeah.
Probably after service that day.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, we had
multiple conversations.
Because she joined the choir.
So
a small choir.
Okay, small choir.
But remember, I go to school in Philadelphia.
So after that day, you went back.
I went back to
every
Philadelphia.
weekend. She just.
But before that, I started coming. I don't know why I started coming. Maybe in my brain. I can't even remember.
You remember?
No.
Sorry, fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't because of me. It was because of the guitar.
Okay, the guitar.
The guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I started coming to Harrisburg Church. Like, so I would drive like on the weekend. I would drive on Friday, drive down to Harrisburg.
1 hour journey, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
It's
1
over-
hour,
over
but
like an hour 25 at least,
Yeah.
maybe an hour 30, one way.
and then you have choir
Love is
practice.
strong.
But it's so
Love
funny.
strong.
But no, it wasn't even love. It was just interest.
The love of
Interest for fellowship,
Fellowship.
for the things of the Lord.
Yeah.
Thanks of the Lord.
And then I would get there, and so because of that, we formed the choir because now I'm there.
So he was like the kind of
So he was like the choir master, and then my sister was there. So basically, he would like text us, and like we all had other like young people at church too. So he would text like, "Oh, this is the song that we're going to sing," like, you know, and like that's all he would do.
That's all.
He would not even say like, "Oh, how was your week going?" He would just be like,
Really?
Yeah.
"Yes."
but
He
by
was
then,
very
yeah,
like
I
straightforward.
learned how to.
So focus.
Focus. He no mess. He would, if I called him, I remember the one time I called him and I was like, "Oh, hello, it's Simi." He was like, "Oh yeah, I think maybe he said like, I know I have your number or something." I was like, "Oh, I was just calling to find out what song we're supposed to sing." Maybe it was a Saturday night. And then
Just very straight answer.
he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the library. I haven't had time. Okay, we'll sing this song." And then, "All right, talk to you later. Bye." And I was like, "Wow."
Who's this dude?
No hello. No like, "Wow, it's good to hear your voices."
Choir master, please work on that.
He's so holy.
Nah.
So holy.
But yeah,
But that's just how he is.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a pretense. So
Yeah,
it
that's-
didn't matter if it was me
oh yeah,
or like any other girl.
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
how it should have been.
And
Just that's who he is, you know? So I couldn't take offense.
So he just.
Yeah.
Equal treatment, I guess. But I think those.
What do you mean equal treatment?
It's so I come to learn the hard way about relating with sisters, let me put it that way, or girls, period. Whether in the church or outside the church. You know, if you can start like sending mixed messages when, and you look, we all have the right intentions. Nobody's about to, you know, as we always say, fornicate, you know, or do anything, you know, sinful. But you know, I learned this new word. I don't know if I picked it up from somewhere or, you know, was some inspiration, like emotional purity. You know, like just, you know, guarding my heart, you know, because I don't want to lead any. I've had weird situations that I made terrible mistakes because I was just too nice. And if, you know, if somebody calls me, it's about choir, then let's address choir and let's keep it moving. If you call about homework, because I think there was a time I even had to edit your paper. Like, if it's about paper, let's keep it going. Okay. Now, if I feel that, oh, God is leading me to you, we're going to address that specific issue, and all other things will follow, right? Because I don't want to send mixed messages. You know, even till today, you know, my wife will tell, even if, you know, because people don't care whether you're a married man or you're not a married man, you're just a nice guy, right? So I always try to bring my wife into every conversation, or even if it's a text, like I'll set up a group text, or you will set up one, like, just so that everybody, you know, hey, my wife is not here, we're not about to talk about anything else, like, how are you doing? If I say, how are you doing, my wife has a visual on how are you doing. And it's not because, like, God forbid, like, I'm afraid that, oh, I'm going to cheat on my wife or something like that. I think it's not even because of that, it's just accountability, right, to God, and not giving the devil any space to operate. As God leads us and gives us wisdom and other approaches to use, but I don't want to lead someone emotionally on whether as a married man or an unmarried man, because I know my weakness. I'm too nice. No, regardless of, you know, my wife says I'm very focused and everything, but I always seek for opportunities to help people, whether it's a, you know, male or female, but most of the time it's females. Right? So I've been burned enough times to, you know, not do that anymore. Yeah.
Next question here is, so you guys are now friends at this point.
Yeah.
So at what point did you take it to the next level?
I've been talking about it.
I don't know. I think just like gradually, it wasn't like anything sudden.
Yeah.
It was like gradual friendship where like I'm like, oh, he's really nice, like and then he had like other like because our church was like near we're near like a college of medicine, so like a lot of students were there. So like he would like invite them to church. So like I became even friends with some of his friends. Yeah, his roommate. So it became like, and then my brother became his friend, and then I had a friend, and like it became like a group friend, and like there will be like sometimes even group hangouts, like even at church, like it's more fun when like more young people are around. So after church, we would like just hang out, we would like talk, gist. It was like a good time. So because of that, I get to like know the person real. And I think that's when I started like knowing him. Like, oh, okay, he gets like stressed. When he's stressed, then he gets like he needs to like focus when he's stressed, because around when I met him, he was taking like these candidacy exams, and it's like very stressful. And
and I think like for you, for the most part, the way I got to know you more was during choir practice. But like Simi will come early. You'll be there early, so Simi will come early. I'll just sit in the back of the church. I don't know what I was doing there. Probably just preparing for everyone else to come in. So Simi will come and sit down.
Because it's choir practice, why would you come late to choir practice? I come on time.
Yes.
As a choir member.
Right?
So like she'll just start talking about, how her life is going in Philly, how her life was in college and all of these things, like she was very transparent. I don't think I've ever met anyone that transparent before, which made things even harder for me. Because
I was an oversharer.
She was an oversharer. So like every time I go back, I was oh God, man, please help me. So, but I got to know her like on that level. So I think in the end, like funny enough, like her dad is my pastor. So now things have to go through.
Oh my God, which is such a weird situation.
Yeah.
But it went well.
Yeah, it went well. It ended up.
It went well. At first, I don't know if that's one of your questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so
maybe we should go there, right?
yeah, so it went well at first. We're like, okay, so we had a meeting.
In the pastor's office.
Yeah,
Daddy's office.
which is my dad. You know what I'm saying? And then we didn't have marriage committee then because it's like Harrisburg is a new branch, and even Pennsylvania as a whole didn't have a marriage committee. Then you have to go to like the regional level. So the regional overseer gave permission that for marriage, not even marriage committee, like the pastors should oversee like any marriage. My dad was the pastor, so basically like they send you like the questionnaires that you need to fill. So like in this moment, I think you said God had told you to wait.
Yeah.
But he didn't wait.
Because I was being Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, I think he was trying to like spare my feelings.
Okay.
So he's like, oh, like I don't even know.
It's like let's see. And then I said like let's see what happens.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the words exactly.
And I remember like right in that moment, it was like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I? Because I got the direct message that that morning.
Yeah. He said like when he was reading the Bible that morning, God told him to wait, not like go ahead, like wait.
Yeah.
And even for me, I was shocked that he was like, oh, let's do this. And I was like, you realize let's do this in deeper life means you're going to get married. It's not like, oh, let's do this and see. So I was shocked, like, but then I went with it too because I was like, oh, I like him, right? But even in my head, it wasn't like even like, oh, I love him. It was like, I like him. He's marriageable. He's married. Marriageable. You know how they say my wife
material.
He's husband
material. 10,000 yards.
Yeah, 10,000 yards. Kampala.
And I think like for me that was one of those situations where that weakness like came to bear.
But it was supposed to happen that way. I think God knows everything.
Everything.
Because then after that,
It was just.
so we started. So basically, that's the beginning of courtship. So now the headquarters is sending all these paperwork that we have to fill. We have to do this, and I'm just like, okay, this is. And so our conversations are still like, because before our conversations were as friends, so it was free. So now our conversation is kind of like getting awkward, and it's kind of like we're trying to like get to know each other. In my head, I'm like, is this how it's supposed to be? I feel nothing. You know, I feel nothing. Like
the changes in.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not in love.
What is love,
what
right?
is- yeah.
The love there.
Like I feel nothing. This is just. Mind you, this is a guy that I even liked.
Yeah, and I think for me, I just knew I blew it. Like, because one of the things we all strive to do is to follow the voice of God. And at least in my life and my experience, like I know what happens if I don't follow the voice of God. I have to go, circle back, and come back and waste time, like waste emotions, waste everything, right? So I was never at peace after that. I was at peace up to the point where I was like, let's see what happens.
Then from that moment.
Yeah, I never.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because I'm just realizing that like you said things were awkward.
Yeah.
Because even when we're friends, like
It wasn't awkward.
everything was like fun and jolly. We'll talk. Her brother comes around.
Yeah.
Her friend from Philly, Amanda, will come
Yeah.
around. My roommate.
We were like
Everything was fine.
So all of a sudden now that it's kind of like, I guess you call it courtship. It's like, so we're recording and it's like the first week, maybe the second week.
The second week, now I call her.
And then he calls me. He was like,
yeah, I'm really sorry,
I can't do this, I'm sorry.
Let's take a break. Let's go and pray. And then, but then that was basically a breakup.
Yeah.
I broke up with her on was it on Skype?
Over Skype.
Yeah, over Skype.
Okay. Which was fine because I am an hour away, so it's not like, oh, we see each other. But it's so weird because that same weekend, right, was convention. So convention is basically like this national.
Once a year kind of program, right?
And Pastor Kwame comes every year.
Every year.
Yeah, he was actually there.
He was actually there. So we go to.
And this was before.
So basically, he broke up with me on Wednesday. Thursday, convention starts.
And then the worst part of it was she had this important exam or paper that she needed to turn in that weekend.
Because I was graduating.
Yeah. So it was.
That's like my
it was
final
a mess.
exam.
Yeah, that's a mess.
So how did you handle it?
I was like, okay. No, he was like, oh, you know what? This is how he said it. He knew that there was somebody else that was interested in me. So it was like, oh, you know, kind of like, go and marry that guy.
Did you actually say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, go on.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and he was like, oh, we'll marry this person. And I'm just like,
Are you serious?
I don't want this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know?
I thought that would free my mind a little.
He thinks he was like freeing everyone.
myself.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. I know.
So I don't know what he thought would happen when we got to convention. We're from the same church. You know how they make you stay by churches, all the activities that you're doing. Maybe
Yeah,
like
same
if
hotel.
we stayed in the because the church, each church will like get all their members and they'll book hotel
Block out some
rooms, and everybody will pay for their own hotel room. So of course our church, even like when they're like, oh, the people that are cleaning after this message or after this day will be like Pennsylvania church. Of course I was sleeping there because
The choir master.
you know,
So how did you handle it during the event?
he tried to act like nothing happened.
Yeah, like I remember
But he
the
saw me, he was
first
like-
day I
he
saw
came
her,
up to
I came
me.
up to her, I was like,
How
hey.
did
So
you
like I was like, what is
Like,
happening?
then you,
Leave
I
me
think in your mind, you're
alone.
like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah, I was like, why are you talking to me? I think I even told him, I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
why
I was like, why are you talking to me? Leave me alone. I was like, leave me alone. And then he kept talking to me. And then
Like nothing happened.
like nothing
yeah, like
happened.
nothing
So I remember.
Because I think for me, it's kind of like that, but you
But
know,
you just got married,
yeah,
recording
this
for
for-
2
yeah,
weeks.
2 weeks as well. Yeah, like, can we go back to being friends? So, like, it's not a big deal.
And I was like,
In retrospect, that was
and then I
terrible.
remember like he was like, like, oh, like I was like, so I think I told him, I was like, leave me alone. He was like, but
You
why?
literally told him.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh, but why? It's not like, I forgot what word he was saying, like, kind of like, it's not a big deal. And I was like, it's okay, yeah, it's really not a big deal. It's not, and I told him, I was like, it's not like I was in love with you.
Yeah. It's not like I was begging you to.
It's not, and I told him, I was like, it's not like I was begging you to marry me. It's okay, just leave me alone. Like, don't keep, and then he kept texting me, how was your exam?
Yeah, so that part, right? So that was guilty. That was guilty conscience, right? Because, like I said before, like maybe I would review her paper or something, like.
I didn't need him to review my
So,
paper.
you know, I remember like hearing from like someone that, oh, you know, like she was taking her exam. It's like, oh my goodness, like this is the most terrible thing I've ever done. So out of guilty conscience, I'm like texting her like, hey, how was your exam? And this was around the time Pastor Kwame was preaching.
No, this was had to be like maybe the Friday.
Oh, before that, right?
The Friday.
Oh yeah, I think you didn't respond.
So I didn't respond, and I was just like, I don't need your help. And then it made it worse by saying,
no,
I would have. You don't want me to say it?
No, you can say it. It's just.
He was like, so he kept texting me. It was like, how was your exam? And I was like, look, you don't need to ask me. You don't need to be nice to me. It's okay. It's really okay. I'm not even angry. So he was like, oh, it's not that. I would ask anybody else that question. And I was like, I'm anybody else.
That was actually a terrible reply.
I mean, I had no game.
Like nothing.
He had no game.
Like I think for some of us, God just slows down and said, "Let me help that boy out." I always tell Simi, I think I would have still been single by now.
He says that all the time. I don't think so.
Wow.
I think so, yeah. I know myself. Like,
8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think at some point during the program, I think Baba was preaching around the time. Usually when Baba is preaching, we're all very serious, I don't know, for some reason I picked up my phone.
But what led to you picking up your phone to text me?
I think it was still that guilty conscience, right? Because then you responded and you said, oh, that was not the best exam you taken.
Oh, but you're talking about the Sunday. So Sunday is the last day. Pastor is going to preach. I think like over time, I let it go. I wasn't even angry. I was just fine. I was moved on. So like even when we were getting food for our church, you have to count how many heads are getting food.
Hope you didn't omit. Hope you didn't omit.
Oh no, she was really trying to help me, and then I got annoyed with her. I got mad at her. I was like, why are you?
I forgot what he said. I was like, he was like, oh, where can we go to get the food? So I was trying to give him the directions, like, oh, you go there, and he was in the car with another of our brothers from the church. So I was like, oh, when you guys go here, I saw it, giving them directions,
He was quiet.
No, he wasn't quiet.
I said something rude, like something rude, like
I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm fine. I don't need your help. And I was like, all this animosity.
Yeah. But that's the real story, man.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened that night.
Fast forward.
I don't know if God ministered to me.
No, there was no ministration.
So
how did you come back?
So I don't know what.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Even till today, I still don't understand because that's what's really out of character for me to do. So the message is going on, and
This is
then
final message on Sunday. That's what you should be listening to.
Yeah, you
final
focus.
anointing.
Open your Bible and
Pastor
flip it and jot it in down.
I was sitting in the youth church. That's where I used to hang out, or like.
Because you were youth leader.
Yeah. So the message is going on. I don't know what happened. I honestly don't know. It's like all in blur. So after where I picked up my phone. So I picked up my phone and I started texting like, oh, I don't know if I saw your message back then. That wasn't the best exam.
No,
Yeah,
so he
I
texted
remember.
me that Sunday morning like, oh, how was your exam? And I'm like, I'm not answering.
Okay, Sunday morning then.
I'm not answering because we are over this.
Okay.
Yeah, just yesterday you already told me that you know where to get food.
Yeah.
So I think like later not even before the message, Pastor Kwame was doing like donations for the church building where we were having the retreat, and then so I guess during the donation, everybody's talking and stuff like that, and then he texted. So I said, okay, let me text him back. It wasn't the best exam, but it's fine. But Bro Kwame over here saw something else in the text message.
Yeah, I read it as, oh, that was the best exam I've taken. And for me, that was like oh wow, I didn't completely mess up this girl's life.
You
And
read
so
it wrong.
I read it wrong. So I texted her, I was like, hey, if you give me another chance, I'm going to be the best person you ever met. And then I followed up with, I love you. I never told, honest, I never, to the best, I hope, like, I never told, aside my mom probably, I don't think I ever told any female, or maybe my sister too, like any person, like female friend or like interest, love interest, like that I love you. Like,
And
I
you
don't
did
know.
that thing.
Yeah, I did.
So
Over
let's
text message.
so let's get it straight. Thursday was the program.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday you broke up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then Sunday
Sunday.
you wanted to
Resurrection
come back.
Day. and then I think like I'll let you share your perspective after I sense that.
I think when
You
you
were saying you were
texted
with your
me,
friends.
yeah, I was with like my friends, you know, because we all went to convention. I was sitting there, I was like, why is this brother texting me? Like,
And then all these friends know
I
that
didn't
we're in
know.
courtship,
No,
right?
but the thing is that it was weird for me that he was texting me because that's not in his character to text in church.
Okay.
Or text that kind of text.
You know, so I was
Yeah.
like, what's happening? Like, God, like, why? So he like texted me. He was like, so when I told you I love you, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think he said don't mess with
I mean, like, I was just like, don't. I texted him. I was like, don't play with me. This is not like you can't be joking. And I'm very blunt sometimes.
most times.
Most
times.
most times, like I just say it like it is because I'm transparent.
Mm.
You know, so I was like, don't play with me. Oh, texting me, I love you. Like, yeah. So he was like, I love you. So I was like, but then as soon as, remember I was saying like just a few days ago, I told him, I was like, it's not like I love you. And like that love wasn't there for real.
Yeah.
But right in that moment when he said, I love you, it's like God opens my heart and puts all this love inside my thoughts. I was like, dang, I love this guy too. That'd be happy.
Yeah, and you know, same here. I think for me, it didn't click. Like that love feeling, it didn't click till when church was over and you came out, and the first thing she did was to hug me.
You have to edit that part out.
No. let them leave that on it.
Okay.
It's American. It wasn't like a sensual, like, hug. Kind of like I forgive you kind of love. Like, I get you. I forgive you. Let's start over again. Right? And for me, that's what did it for me. And I think in my mind, I was like, I can live with this forever.
Okay.
Like any woman, like, cause I'm just a guy that moved from Pennsylvania, from Massachusetts to PA. Her family is well known. Like I said, the other person's their family is well known. Like I'm just a simple guy, just trying to serve God and go to school. And for her to show that amount of grace and to just let it, like within a moment, just like, it's okay.
No, I think it wasn't even me. I think that was like God to like.
So you could have done like Shakara, like,
And
like.
so today I wish I had done Shakara. Sometimes I tell him, I was like, dang, I really wanted to go back to that moment and just do like Shakara for like a day.
But you know
Like,
that,
I'll get back to you in
Yeah.
3 to 5 business days.
But it's funny, right? Because like God knows us very well. Like that would have like
Crush you.
crushed me. And then I'll be like, I started even considering like not going to Harrisburg Church anymore.
I know.
Just because
He was gonna
I'm gonna meet the family. Like it was just
Mind
too
you,
much.
everybody was treating him fine.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying
Except Jay.
anything to
Except
him.
Jay. I was not talking to.
Jay was looking to you.
No,
I think
Jay, but everybody in Jay was being disrespectful you about.
Yeah. And I think someone said it was good fighting or
No,
something.
Kwame was fine.
Well, it was fine, and Luki was fine.
I
Okay.
said,
Yeah,
no,
Pastor
no, no,
and like, but like I knew everybody in the family before I met him.
Yeah, I was the last time he met.
Yeah. I didn't even know like Pastor Bella had a daughter somewhere. I didn't even care to ask it then.
Yeah.
So just like that. That's when. So most of the time I always count from the convention. Everything that happened within those 2 weeks was an act of my disobedience to the express voice of God, knowing that God said I should wait. And the waiting was not because of Simi or something that was wrong with her. I think now, in retrospect, I think I've used that word so many times. it was more about me. You know, I'm not the same person that I was. I mean, by God's grace, I was serving God. You know, God was giving me grace to serve Him day by day. But as a person, there were certain personality traits that I needed to work on and develop. You know, for someone that if you're going to live with someone for the rest of your life, you know, that level of criticality, sometimes it still comes up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still very critical, but I've learned how to communicate that better. I've learned how to, you know, let some things slide. Like, you know, like not just focus on, you know, one particular thing and ruminate over it over and over again. And so that's what I meant by, you know, God has used marriage, because God can use anything. He's used marriage to really mold me into the person that I'm a better leader, not just for my family, but for our church. You know, people skills. I thought I had good people skills. I thought I had great people skills. But like I said, you know, just her demonstrating that level of grace and forgiveness, that's helped me a lot to pick from that as well. So yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, so our story is not very like, you know, straight cut, like, you know, like very then this happened.
Yeah, the questions there that you already answered. So finally, I want you to say something to me and my group of brothers and sisters out there, the single ones. So say something to us, like encouragement. Ladies first.
Oh wow.
So listen, this is for you.
Oh my gosh. Don't be too picky. Don't look at someone and say like, oh, this person is not my spec. This person is like, I need this and need that. Because I think when I met Kwame, oh my god, he had this horrible shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't marry someone that wears a shirt like that. It was
actually the shirt of many colors.
Coat of many
Coat
colors.
of many
Of course, many colors. It was not attractive. But like,
my roommate gave me that shirt.
good for him. But
Just saying.
but like, yeah, just having the ability to see past like the physical. You know, I think a lot of times now people are stuck with, especially with social media. You see like all these couples and they look like they've made it, but like everything is a progress, you know. So whoever you choose to marry, you guys are going to build your life together. So don't discard someone because of where they're not. I mean, I'm not saying if someone should marry an identity who has no future ambition, but like if someone is like actually maybe they're in school still, they're in grad school. So of course, yeah, like when we met, of course the person wouldn't have loads of money right now. You know, or might not have loads of money, but will have something soon after they graduate and start working. You know, they have potential. That's what I always say. Look for the potential. Make sure you marry someone that is a Christian. Be very sure that this person loves God, because in the church, just because someone comes to church doesn't mean they're born again. So make sure that your prayer life is okay. I think for me, I was blessed. I don't want to say lucky. I was blessed to have married someone that actually loved God, because I wasn't as strong in the faith as I am right now. But yeah.
How is that?
I think for me is a lot of times when we talk about God's will, we always limit it to marriage. And I know you had asked a question about when did I start praying about like the will of God for marriage. I'm trying really hard to be humble in the way I present it. I'm not.
This time you should carry the Bible.
I should carry the Bible. Let me go like this. Bread. But if I don't know how God is leading me about school, how do I expect to know how God is leading me about marriage? So I think for me, I don't partition my life. I don't say this is my academic life, this is my spiritual life, this is my physical life, this is my marriage. It's life, period. I see the face of God even if my bicycle is missing. Okay. And so it helps, and I'm still discovering different ways that God speaks to me. Just recently I learned God speaks to me very clearly through my wife. Okay. And it's not fun. You'll be like, you said this, it's not right, you need to repent.
Wow.
Like that's a lie, you shouldn't say that. And I shouldn't be proud, and I should be sensitive enough to accept that this is the voice of God speaking to me. Right? And so I need to know God's will concerning everything else in my life, because that will exercise me to know, or exercise my receptiveness to His voice when it comes to marriage. And so what I'll tell even our brethren that are youth now, and I'm still working through this. I haven't arrived, like I said. Even this was just yesterday, right? Yeah. So I want to encourage everyone, like, don't focus on marriage. Seek the face of God about everything in your life. Like even the mundane things, like, God, I'm trying to go to a school. Which school should I pick? Or God, this job is paying me a lot of money. This one is not. What should I do? You lead me. I know you know the future. When we are able to do that, you don't need to. I don't think God is that wicked. Like you have to fast and pray before He shows you who you're going to marry. You have to wake up at midnight because that's the only time God is awake.
Midnight. I said that yesterday.
Yeah. So it's very simple. I know a lot of people tell you, seek the face of God, pray every night. Yeah.
12 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Yeah. Like, God is always looking to give us the best things in life. Maybe sometimes He'll say wait. He'll say hold on. Maybe past this season of your life or something. But doesn't mean God is withholding any good thing from us. He's a good father. I'll be withholding any good thing from my kids. I know this thing is good for my kid, I'll give it to them. And so I just want to encourage all of us, including myself, that to seek the face of God concerning everything. The will of God is all encompassing. It doesn't just relate to marriage. So.
Yeah, so you've heard it.
Oh, sorry, that was point one.
Yeah, that was point one. Okay. So thank you very much. You've heard it from the case. Yeah. So pray, seek the face of God in everything you do, and definitely is going to answer. So
Subscribe to Josh.
Eramusele
Josh.
Why are you not being my lipstick?
Yeah, it's a big which one.
Okay.
Please subscribe. It's really a blessing.
Like the video.
Like
share
and subscribe.
Share with your friends.
Share with your enemies.
Yes, share with your enemies. Yeah, love your enemies.
Love your enemies.
Yeah. Alright, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. See you in some other episode. Drop in soon. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.